Whoa, it's Wulzy. Welcome back to Geometry Dash. Today is another form request video, and it's a randomized episode capping at 1215. Which level will be picked first? Number 235. Here we go, this ID right here. Bada bing, bada boom. Here is Nice by Fonta using Exile and Deluxe, a nice logo. Yo, I really like that text animation in the beginning. Fonta. Now I know Fonta, he's very talented at making very clear, crisp, well-presented ideas. Oh, that transition's awesome. Like, as you can see, this gameplay is really flowy, and there's not much detail, which really allows you to focus on the display, focus on the actual concepts that he's bringing to the level, which I feel like is quite important with a modern style. Now, I feel like it's a bit overbearingly basic at sometimes, like in the beginning when there's no changing visuals to keep the player's interest at all. As you can see, the background is very, very plain, but then it's kind of ramped up in this part with the inversion effect he's got going on in the background. Really nice cube maze right here too. The colour does change, so it might be a little bit difficult to tell where to go, but he combats that with arrows. So it's just, all the details that he's got are very essential, very well thought out. There's no details that get in the way. Fonta manages to get some energy out of his levels even when there's not much to offer. The flow of the song changes, the gameplay changes, the visual changes. But again, we're provided with this non-changing aesthetic with just a regular square background. It's just a very charming level. The variation in it does kind of make up for the lack of detail, but I can't completely forgive it. I do have standards to keep to. I kind of want to send this for a rate, because it does present some new ideas. It's very creative, it's got some nice music sync and gameplay. I think it's something that a lot of people would enjoy, and I'm enjoying it a lot right now. So yeah, I think this is pretty clean. I'm going to send this for a 9-star rate. I don't think it's quite a demon standard. Don't know what it's requested for. It's requested for a 9. I'm going to send it for a 9 rate, because I do feel like it's a little bit overbearingly empty, especially in the first cube. If I go back into it right now, you'll see what I mean. There's just no changing visual at all to keep my interest. Like, look at all this space. It's cool and original. Nice job, Fonta. Another demon with a banned song, Neo by Lycos. Ooh, it's a neon style level. I love these. And it strikes me straight away that everything is static. It really builds this lonely vibe straight away. Alongside these flickering effects too, it makes it feel very isolated without taking away from the gameplay sight readability. Although these portals are super bright, it's very difficult to tell what they actually are because of how colourless they are. All this glow is super bright and it actually makes for a very nice aesthetic, apart from the fact that the gameplay is quite difficult to sight read. With the glow on the bricks, I'm kind of reminded of the Nameless level by Nazgub, because that used the same kind of format. Although Nazgub's colour scheme struck me a lot more, I feel like this is maybe a little bit more effective because of how bright and desaturated the glow ends up being when all of the colours are stacked on top of each other. It's getting a little bit repetitive at this point. I was hoping that there would be something in the background maybe to elevate the feel of the level. It still feels very lonely. It's sticking to this one theme and vibe that it's got, and it goes with it for the whole level. It sticks to one style all the way through, shows barely any progression. I was hoping the colours would maybe be a little bit more saturated. I was hoping for a little bit more alpha trigger effect with some different fade times instead of it just being one set flicker. It's very closely inspired by the Nameless level by Nazgub. Nah, I'm gonna pass on this, I'm afraid. World Navigator by Arccalis using Faces by Axel. Alright, World Navigator. These colours are very striking so far, but there's a lack of depth, I can see. There's a lot of overlays and there's a lot of layers in the background, and I don't feel like they're distinguished from each other well enough. There could be some black glow behind some of the elements on display right now, just to make the background seem maybe further back, make the blocks more visible, and also this overlay on the right hand side that's telling me where I'm at in the world. It's just kind of distracting at the moment, and it's just kind of covering up my display. It's covering up my sight of the level. Doesn't really need to be there either. See, forest, dark, like I can see. The designs are alright and the colour schemes do have potential, but I think there could just be a lot more depth introduced and the colour distribution could be a lot more effective to make the blocks stand out more than the background. I mean, you've got your transition from the winter time to the desert to the city, but it all just seems very random. The colour schemes just seem to be very all over the place. It's got its fair share of things that keep it alive, like the pulses, the snow moving, the overlay on the right hand side, the movements in the blocks as well, the random waterfalls in the middle are pretty cool too. There's a lot of movement, there's a lot of pulses. It's really tried to keep it interesting, which I appreciate. I do think it is pretty interesting, but it's also just very messy. Like that overlay that comes up when you die, it's just super weird. And I still feel like the layers are too closely related to each other. I'm liking this robot gameplay though, when the structures are moving up and down. That makes it a lot more interesting, because the gameplay honestly is pretty linear. I mean, there is a lot of movement, but you're still going in a straight line most of the time. It does accomplish the feeling of a journey, but the designs are quite mediocre and I still feel like there could be a lot more depth introduced. Alright, we keep moving. Icy Styles by Shadow Viper YouTube, using a Lemkuja song, which I'm surprised is allowed, to be honest. I thought Lemkuja was banned off Newgrounds. Nice colours, nice contrast of saturation and black, although the structures are a little bit empty in their detail. The structure is unique, but I feel like it could have some stuff inside, and okay. Maybe there could be a few more outlines on the edges of these blocks or some details within, but I do like how many tones of the same colour there is due to the glow on the right hand side of the screen just then. Alright, I see what it's trying to do. It's trying to tap into modern right here. I'm not really sure about this overlay because there are clear cut-offs on the display that are just quite blinding, and it's very difficult to get through here, especially at this difficulty. It's doing a classic checkerboard background, which looks cool, but it isn't very original. It's been done before. Cool ideas with the bricks that are pulsing in and out with an alpha trigger. I like that. I like that the changing colour makes for a nice changing aesthetic alongside the waterfall and the blocks. But without ground spikes, this area has big open spaces at the top and bottom that aren't filled. It has potential, definitely, if the structures have a little bit more detail in them, a bit more consistent placement so that there's less empty space that is awkward to fill. We're back to the beginning style right here with the black structures. I'm not sure how on earth this is 7 stars at the moment. And when your structures are really clumped like this, it's really difficult to incorporate movement. You should try and have a mix in structure types in one part. For example, having a couple of square blocks, a couple of rectangle blocks, a couple of pillar blocks like these. And I cannot complete this level for the life of me. This has requested 7 stars. How? It's got a decent attempt at some styles. I just feel like it's a little bit underwhelming, and there's a bit of empty space here and there that needs filling with some ground spikes or some extra structure types. Oh nice, we're going into Boomer Hotline by Hypno74 using Mit Liv Som Priya by Dunder Patrollen. Ooh, I'm liking the look of this. See what I mean by the different structure types, how it allows for different movements? I like this a lot. Really nice colours and pulses so far. I'm liking how alive this feels with the very upbeat song. We've got the pulses in the wave to reflect this. We've got lots of bright pulses in the ground spikes. Although they aren't decorated, they do still stand out in a good way because of their pulsing. I feel like the transitions are a little bit weird at times because it keeps on going from parts that are focused on colour depth to parts that are focused on colour range, like this one. See what I mean? It's going straight into this part which has a lot of layering, but this part feels very flat and instead just focuses on the different colours it's using, as its block design right here is hidden by the ground spikes for the most part, so it doesn't really matter how many layers it uses. Now this part isn't as good as the others, but I still think it brings some decent variety into the level. Nice contrast of white and black right there, eased in with all the saturated colour with multiple different opacities, really setting it in and not making it overbearing. I like that the contrast is used but the colour is still the most prevalent thing. This part is a lot more immersive as it has a lot of dark colours too, as well as some very bright saturated ones. Around the edges you saw right there, it attempted immersion, creating some pretty nice atmosphere, to be honest, to end off the level on a high note. Pretty cool design mega collab, not much that really sticks out, it's quite typical. It's fun, it's requested 7 stars, I'm going to give it a 9-star feature. Thank you very much for sending that. Alright, here's the last level in this video, Ionize by Divert using Emerald by Aeron Music. Let's go. Oh wow. This aesthetic is really nice. I really like the colour distribution. The fact that the arrows are the same colour as the spikes and the outlines and the ground spikes. Yeah, I can still tell what everything is. And you've got the colour in the blocks too. Really nice changing aesthetic done by the pulses in the background. Really fun gameplay as well. This is fantastic so far. I'm really enjoying this. Oh, Each part is formatted differently, yet it still feels really in one piece. It's really nice that they're not just individual parts. Oh, this is really nice. I really like the transition into this part. That's super cool. The designs in this part may not be the best, but I'm still really a fan of how the colours are done. The pulses and movements really make up for it, and also the feel you get from the aesthetics. This is just really lively, light-hearted, colourful, original. What's not to like? Cohesive too. The blocks are the most bold at the end, which really makes it feel like this is the most intense part of the level, and I really like that end font. Super cool level, Ionized by Divert, using Emerald by Aaron Music, a very underrated song as well. Like, Demon, feature, bang, rating submitted. I do think the beginning is much stronger than the end because all of the elements are much more closely linked, and it really makes for a really nice aesthetic in the beginning, especially with this blending screen above everything that's colouring it. Nice. I really enjoyed that level. That is the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. You can request a level to this series by joining the Discord server linked in the description, ticking the box in info that will allow you to see the hashtag form channel within. Thank you for watching this form request video. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a good day.